Yeah, that's an interesting thing, you know. And when you reach a certain age, and you say, well, it's really not about, they're like, oh, they're just old, and
Right.
like, no, it's like, you know, I remember thinking 27 was old. You know what I mean? When you were young, you're like, well, Hendrix died when he was 27. Brian Jones died when he was 27. 27 seemed ancient, let alone when you're in your early 20s or late teens. He's like, you think of someone in their 50s, and you're like, oh my God, why do they even get out of bed? You know what I mean? And all of a sudden you get to the point where it's like, you know, I wouldn't, of course, I have no choice in the matter, but, you know, you reach a certain age and you're like, this is the funnest it's ever been, because you're so over the need to prove yourself, and you're so over the need to, you know, all of that different baggage stuff that you work through, you know, as you're, which still, you know, let's be honest, there's people that are our age that haven't gotten through, they're still tormented by that shit. But by the same, it's like, you know, I think it's the funnest to be alive now, because you're just so not beholden to all of that BS, and you're comfortable in your own skin.
Right. Well, I think once, you know, I mean, let's face it, as what we do when you're a kid, the gunslinging thing was important part of it, and the whole cock rock and the ego thing, you know, was there. But you're right. As you get older, you kind of don't care, and you kind of settle into what your suit is, you know, and you what your clothes are is what you are. And, you know, in my streams, people talk about it and they say, well, what do you think of this guy? And what do you think of that guy? And I said, you know what? All these guys are great. They're all great. They all bring something to it. And you just, you know, do you like chocolate ice cream, or do you like strawberry ice cream? Or do you, you know, or maybe you like strawberry, but you like chocolate a little bit more, you know, it just is what it is. You know, I like what I do. And I also like what a lot of other people do too. Now, I can't do what some of those other people do, but that's okay, because I'm doing what I want to do.
Exactly.
And you either like it or you don't like it, or you move on to the next guy.
Well, that's an interesting point, because, you know, as you know, when you're doing these live feeds, it's like, what do you think of so-and-so? And how about this and that? Or you'll play one of your tunes and they'll say, boy, that sounds like so-and-so. And you want to go, you realize that I played like this before I even know who so-and-so was, you know, not that, again, it's a competition, but there's just such a weird, you know, when you're an artist that is trying to do his or her own thing, everything you listen to is a reflection of, how is this going to help me get on my way to do my thing? You know what I mean? People don't realize that it's like, yes, I am a fan of music, but only to the extent that it feeds into what I'm trying to project as an artist. Am I right on that? I mean, it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. But not everybody feels that way, and not everybody has the capacity to think that way. You know, I mean, you know, I don't know. You know, it's like people keep saying, oh yeah, Johnny, yeah, he's the most underrated. Nobody, you know, it's like I don't really care about that. I don't care. I just care about making music. You know, I don't. You know, I'm not a flashy player. I'm not really. I used to be that way. You know, I used to be into John McLaughlin. I used to be into Robert Fripp. I used to be into and sit at home and practice the whole tone. You know, like I was listening to Fractured the other day, you know, by Robert Fripp. I mean, it's just, I remember playing that as a kid, or Lock's Tongue and Aspic, or, you know, all that Steve Howe stuff, and, you know, John McLaughlin, Dan Maya, Hope, all that stuff. And it just seems like eons and eons ago, you know, and then I've just settled into playing these slow legato chord melody things, but I just love the sound. You know, there's something to me that's, at least in my personality, that's intoxicating for me, that I like, and I'm okay with it. You know, I don't care, you know, anymore.
Well, and I've commented about this. The underrated thing is that when, you know, when people will comment, oh, so-and-so is so underrated, and, oh, you're underrated, or this is underrated. It's just like, you know, what people don't really, and I understand what they're saying. Of course, I can understand it from the perspective of someone who's not like thoroughly immersed in this whole pursuit, if you will. But basically it's a popularity contest, you know what I mean? And the things that people construe as not underrated are people that have somehow, through a variety of different reasons, have elevated in this popularity contest to a place where they think that that level of popularity is commensurate with whatever gifts they have and so on and so forth. And let's just be honest, that's not the case. And that's not being bitter to say that. I mean, I thoroughly applaud people that have risen to a level of popularity that people would say, oh my God, they're a legend and so on and so forth. And they have all the financial, pop or success as a result of that. But that so seldom has anything really to do with musical accomplishment or prolific ability. Does it sometimes happen? Absolutely. And sometimes it doesn't, but none of it matters. It's like either you enjoy the music in the moment or you do not. And,
right, exactly.
And that is someone, people say, oh, you're underrated. I understand what they're saying, as I'm sure you do, but it's a popularity contest. And when you get to the point where you realize, I love what I get to be able to do. And if there's people that dig it and I'm able to make a living doing it, that is like miraculous in and of itself. Am I right?
Look, I look at it like this. I'm 67 years old, soon to be 68. I've been making my living, paying my mortgage, buying a house, buying a car, putting my kids through school, playing my guitar.
Right.
I'm lucky to be able to do that. So do I have the financial security of a Jimmy Page? And no, but I mean, that's 2% of the musicians in the world.
Right.
2% of the musicians have 98% of the profit. And then the other guys are working guys, and there's different levels of success. And it's how do you measure success? I'm really happy. I've been able to record records. I'm just this little kid from Malden, Massachusetts that ended up working with one of the biggest guitar companies in the world,
right?
Getting a guitar designed, got a couple book deals, made a couple records, got a hit on the radio, played with a few people that I respected. And, I feel I've had a pretty good career.
Absolutely. Under
is it as big as somebody else's? And it's like you said, is the popularity, it's whether or not you were able to break through the noise. To get to that next level. Some of it's just noise and being in the right place at the right time and with the right person, and you break through. It's an odd business and it's subjective, and that's it. It's not a sports competition. It's not a race car that there's an obvious winner because someone crossed the finish line first.
Right.
It's you're not a pole vaulter and you won because you got over the pole higher than anybody else. It's just there's different levels of success, and if you're happy in your own skin and with what you do and the level that of success that you have, and you're not bitter about it, then that's success to me. I don't know.
I think you're absolutely right.
I mean, there's so many of my friends, that I see, and some of them, their careers are bigger than mine, and some of theirs aren't. And the ones that aren't doesn't mean that they're not as good players. Right. In a lot of cases, they're better players. It's just the way it happens,
Right. Exactly. But regardless of any of that, what I love is the fact when we get to see each other, not only we get to hang out and engage in some musical activity, but we like to eat. Am I right?
We love to eat. We do love to eat. In Phoenix, we went to that. What was that? Where was that restaurant we went to in Phoenix? We met at the day off, right?
That was just I
had the ribs. I had ribs.
Yeah, exactly. But the place that we ate at in Fort Wayne, the Cork and the Cleaver, or the Cleaver and the Cask or whatever, where the menu is on the Cleaver.
No, it was the Cork and the Cleaver.
The Cork and Cleaver, Fort Wayne. I'm bummed that they're not going to have Deer Fest. Of course, I'm bummed about all the different, although they're still
virtual Deer
under
Fest,
the delusion that I shouldn't say delusion, but like the Dallas Guitar Festival is still on for that last weekend in July. And as much as I love going and it's going to be a blast, and I'm but as you said, it's so dicey whether stuff's going to actually happen. So if it happens, man, let the good times roll. But I don't know.
I just saw this morning that the states that I was supposed to go to in September, which one of them is Texas.
Right.
So Texas in July. I mean, it's the middle of June.
Right.
I don't know, man.
I don't know either.
I wouldn't do it if I was booked. Although I don't think Jimmy Wallace likes me anymore. So If I was booked to go, I would have second thoughts about going in July. That's for sure. I mean, the last thing I want to get on is a plane.
Right. If I'm going anywhere, I'm driving. You know what I mean?
So you're driving to Texas?
I've done it before. I just got done. I was actually out by you last weekend. Well, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. You know, my daughter's been in Brattleboro, Vermont. She's doing this AmeriCorps job out there, and of course they shut down the office, so she was working from her home out there. And some circumstances changed, and where she was living, and she's like, you know, maybe I'll come home and save rent on for the remainder of my AmeriCorps thing. So I'm out on a Saturday morning walk with my wife, and we're talking with my daughter, and I was like, well, how are you going to get all your stuff home? You got one car, you got your stuff in your apartment, you got your bike. I mean, how are you going to get your bike home? She's like, oh, I don't know, I'll figure it out. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll come and help you out. So I got home from the walk, and I was on the road by like 10 a.m. So I drove all the way to Albany, New York that night, and then slept that morning, and then drove the rest of the way to Brattleboro, picked her stuff up, and then drove all the way back. So
17 hours, 18 hours?
Well, it's a little over 50. It's like 15 and a half hours each way.
Yeah.
So I think I might have told this story before. People are like, oh, stop talking about your trip to Brattleboro. But, you know, it was fun. So
I haven't heard it.
I have all 4 kids of mine under the roof. My wife's working upstairs. So we've got, you know, so my
and the Bengal cats.
And 2 Bengal cats. Yes. Yeah. So we do our 4 live feeds a week. We've been doing these interviews now. We've started up, and so it's never a dull moment here in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin.
Well, the other thing, my wife and I started doing a Tuesday live feed, Tuesday afternoon, called Cocktails in the Kitchen with the A's. And we started, and I don't know if you knew this, but Beth is a great singer. She can sing. She used to be in the band with me too. And so she'll sing a couple songs here and there. But what we did it for was we wanted to raise some money for frontline workers and for food banks.
Right.
So we started this thing called Cocktails in the Kitchen with the A's. And it goes from my Facebook page on Tuesdays at 3:00. Everybody's drinking at 3:00 in the afternoon. So I make some special cocktail. Beth made some kind of a flatbread, or last week she made sausage or a Kenny. And we give everybody the recipe. But one week I said, hey, you know, we're having fun in here. Would you guys be interested in what if I had T-shirts made and we donated the money to like some kind of cause or something? And everybody was saying, yeah. So I said, well, okay, started to take a poll. I said, well, what do you think you'd pay for something like that? You know, people would say, oh, $30. Someone said 100. I said, no, 100's too much. I said, would you pay $50 for like a custom shirt? So they said, yeah. So then this girl that was following us on this thing, this feed, said, I'm a graphic designer out of work. Let me design the T-shirt for free. So she did, this girl, Betty Nero, and it came up with a cool design, Cocktails in the Kitchen with the A's. We sold 100 shirts in 2 days. We raised $5,000 in 2 days,
awesome.
Right?
Awesome.
It cost me basically between buying the shirt, a little profit for the guy that made the shirts, and shipping to me and postage out, it was about $15 a shirt. So it was $35 a shirt profit. Took all the money, donated it to the Greater Boston Food Bank.
Awesome.
We didn't keep a penny. That $3,500 paid for 10,500 meals for people.
Awesome.
And isn't that great? I couldn't believe it. 10,500 meals. And what was really cool about it is Genelec Studio Monitors, who's one of the companies that I endorse and that support me, Lisa Kaufman, who runs Genelec here in the United States, and they're in Massachusetts, heard about it. And she works with the Greater Boston Food Bank. So in my honor, she donated another $1,000 to the Boston Food Bank when she found out that Beth and I donated the 35. Well, it wasn't just Beth and I, it was the whole Cocktails in the Kitchen gang. But, you know, that's been one of the good things that's happened with this thing. If there is anything good that can come out of it, is that you kind of can reconnect with people that maybe you haven't connected with in a long time. And then you're connecting with total strangers. Like,
right.
You know, you've probably seen this on your feed, is in mine's daily. I have like anywhere between 100 to 200 20 people at any given time viewing,
Right.
and you're
Exactly.
seeing a lot of the same people, and you now all of a
Exactly.
sudden you're in this relationship with these people,
Right.
which is kind of a cool phenomenon. You know?
It is. Absolutely.
So that's been a kind of a cool thing.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I won't take up any more time, but boy, it was fantastic hanging out with you and talking
Always.
as usual. We appreciate it. And
Well, when you come back up here to Fishman, we got to go back to Burton's Grill and feast again.
that place is
That was a good
magnificent.
one.
I'm
That
all
was a
in
good
like Flynn. All right, my friend. So great to see you. Say hello to Beth for me.
I
And,
will, man.
Have fun out there, and we'll hopefully see you very soon.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Take it easy.
Out. Bye.
Bye-bye.